We're well over the halfway point now, and I think there's a good feeling about this. Like, there's still plenty of criticism, and people still have the same diametrically opposed views, but I think there is a growing realisation that a plan is essential, better than no plan. The no plan option really continues the uncertainty, and you know, it's very good here today to hear people with very good and thoughtful contributions.
We get submissions, as you would know, about everything from stranded assets to the Swiss cheese to the lack of a productive landscape. That's why, in part, I suspect that it suspended the buyback process in the Southern System to try and further refine that and improve it.
How are we going to manage the cost of this new industry that we're about to create? You know, we see that managing water in any state, whether it's environmental water or whether it's irrigated water, has a lot of cost involved in it.
I think it's critical that communities understand that water for the environment does have a cost, and it should be made more clear and transparent, and that can only really happen in a market framework, so people can make decisions as to whether it's best to spend taxpayers' money on this particular project or on something else.
As an irrigator, I didn't feel scared or concerned because I wasn't being forced to sell my water. Now I'm also concerned, okay, the draft plan said we needed this much water, we were going to give the environment this much water. Now this plan's saying we need this much water, so are we going to have this much outcome, or is it what you're saying is that we're going to do the same thing with less water?
The modelling that sat behind the guide was not nearly as robust as the modelling that we've got. So we've been able to be more...
So there is new modelling?
Correct. It's a more sophisticated level of modelling.
There's a cohesion in the communities about wanting to get something produced here that's going to be resilient and will last over time. The purpose of these consultations is about trying to improve the work we've got in the public domain.
Is this for real, this consultation process? I can tell you I wouldn't be travelling around the way I am if I didn't treat it in a fair dinkum way.
At the end of the 20-week period, the authority has a responsibility to report back to the basin ministers, of which I'm one, about all the community consultation right across the basin, and then we have a chance to look at all that feedback as well, and then go into whatever deliberations we have.
If money is provided for increased irrigation efficiency on farm, it is a win-win-win-win. It's a win for the environment because the water is actually found and found quickly. It's a win for the farmer himself because it's actually an efficiency project and a better management project, so the farm operates better. It's a win for the local community because all of that money has to be spent on local contractors.
I agree with the statement that's made that if we take 30% of your water out of this community, it will have damaging, severe, devastating effects. I agree with that. I want to put that on record right now. That's why, and again, please look at our documentation, we have said to the governments, don't do it that way. Because we also know, on the other hand, that if there's an investment in infrastructure, further investment in on-farm efficiencies and systems improvements and environmental works and measures, the savings that we're trying to achieve here can be achieved without those volumes taken out.
People are complaining that the plan has not accounted for the last couple of years of good inflow into the system. Well, the last 2 years are just another blip in a long history of variability in systems flow. It is the long-term averages that count in that calculation.
We have adopted 114 years of climate record and hydrological flow records since 1896, I think is the date, all of which is very publicly incorporated into our documentation and is highly consistent with the methods that all water managers have used for a very long time.
My understanding of the plan also is that it works on key sites and icon sites or the like. Where does that leave other local forests, all the other little bits of forest that are around the place? When do they get water?
We think that there should be a real opportunity, like fair dinkum opportunities, not just tokenism, but fair dinkum opportunities for communities to take a stronger lead in the management of water.
If we decide that we can't sustain the costs of water, are we going to be able to implement in Victoria or in parts of Victoria independent farmer-operated water organisations like the two that you've got in Berrigan in New South Wales?
I think there should always be space for local groups. What we've done though is created space in the Act for such groups to exist.
I'm one that's been a little bit critical because it's taken so long to get it organised, but in the last 2 days we've gone through a lot of consultation pretty well. When the plan comes in, I would like to think that the two major parties got together and had some really good discussions about saying, well, let's agree with the principle of this plan, but let's make sure every step we take is fully consulted with the community, both at the state and at the local level, to make sure the implementation sets out and achieves the best we possibly can.
I think the opportunity here for Australia is to create a model of water management that, for whatever purpose water is used for, it's used in its most valued and best, most efficient way. But having said that, I think what has changed during the formal process of the public consultation is a growing awareness of the need, the essential need for a plan to be put in place. People want certainty, people want to move on, people want to actually get into the doing of this rather than the talking about what it might look like.